In a quiet, fog-draped town lived a boy named Leo. But Leo wasn't like the other kids. While they played games, his mind was a playground of its own, filled with questions, explorations, and wild imaginings. He spent his days lost in books and his nights charting the stars in his head. One rainy evening, while exploring the dusty, forgotten attic of his grandfather's house, Leo's fingers brushed against something cold and metallic. It was an old telescope. Its brass frame wasn't just old, it was alive, engraved with strange symbols that pulsed with a faint, otherworldly glow, curiosity tingling in his veins. Leo wiped the dust from the lens and aimed it at the night sky, but what he saw wasn't the familiar moon or the distant constellations. He saw a breathtaking, impossible landscape. Rivers of liquid light flowed through the cosmos, great forests floated and tethered in the void, and strange creatures with luminous eyes stared back, as if beckoning him to join them. Night after night, Leo was glued to his discovery, mapping this new universe. Then, one evening, as a meteor shower painted fiery streaks across the sky, the telescope began to hum a low, resonant vibration that he could feel in his bones. The symbols on its frame blazed with light. Before his astonished eyes, there in front of the lens shimmered and tore open, forming a swirling, inviting portal of liquid silver. Without a moment's hesitation, with a heart full of wonder and not a trace of fear, Leo stepped through. He landed softly in a world that defied all logic, a place where science and imagination were one and the same. This was Aetherion. Cities didn't stand on the ground, they drifted gracefully on clouds, powered by colossal, humming energy crystals. Robots with gleaming shells walked side by side with humans, not as servants, but as peers, discussing philosophy and composing poetry. The trees weren't just silent witnesses, they whispered the secrets of chemistry and physics to anyone who would listen. The rivers didn't carry water, they flowed with glowing, complex formulas, the lifeblood of this incredible world. Leo quickly learned that in Aetherion, knowledge was a living, breathing force. Every question he formed in his mind didn't just lead to an answer, it sparked a new adventure. He reached out and touched a glowing crystal, and in an instant, it lifted him high above the floating city, revealing the intricate web of energy that connected every single thing, living or not. He watched in awe as creatures morphed and changed their forms in the blink of an eye, a spectacular, real-time demonstration of evolution. But this paradise had a dark side. In the shadowy depths of a place called the Iron Forest, sinister creatures lurked. They were known as the Obscurators, beings of pure shadow that fed on knowledge, absorbing it for themselves and leaving a void of ignorance in their wake. A chilling realization dawned on Leo. To survive here, to protect the delicate balance of this beautiful world, he would have to learn, and he would have to learn fast. And so, his true journey began. Leo delved into vast libraries where the books literally wrote themselves, tailoring their contents to the reader's deepest questions. He learned to converse with brilliant androids who could simulate the most complex scientific theories in mere seconds, their metallic fingers dancing through holographic projections. He discovered laboratories suspended high in the clouds, where impossible experiments ran on their own, revealing phenomena that scientists on Earth could only dream of. Every discovery was an adventure. He learned about energy currents by racing on a self-made skiff across a river of pure light. He even befriended a charming, shape-shifting creature named Lumina, who became his guide to the wonders of Aetherion's biology, showing him how life could adapt in an instant. He also met the brilliant but eccentric Professor Quark, a scientist whose mind-bending inventions seemed to run on pure, unfiltered joy. Together, they built a glider powered by the sound of laughter, navigated treacherous magnetic storms that sang with cosmic energy, and mapped the uncharted territories of the floating forests, where gravity was merely a suggestion. But the shadow of the Obscurators was never far. One day, venturing deeper into the eerie, metallic maze of the Iron Forest than ever before, Leo finally came face to face with one. It was a terrifying, formless entity of darkness, a creeping void that consumed the light and knowledge from everything it touched. The trees it passed withered, their whispered secrets silenced. The glowing formulas in the air fizzled out into nothingness. Leo saw that this creature wasn't just a mindless beast of destruction. It was intelligent, cunning, and it craved knowledge not for the wonder of it, but for power, to dominate and control Aetherion. He knew immediately that brute force would be useless against a being made of shadow. He had to use the greatest weapon he had, his mind. Drawing on everything he'd learned, he began to fight back with cleverness and creativity. He constructed intricate traps using reflective prisms, sending the creature's own shadowy form scattering in confusion. He laid down paths of floating and solvable equations to distract its hungry mind. He even wrote glowing riddles in the air, paradoxes that the obscurator's linear, power-hungry logic could not comprehend. For the first time, Leo felt the true weight of responsibility. He finally understood that knowledge wasn't just for curiosity's sake, it could be a powerful weapon and an even more powerful shield. After many harrowing encounters and narrow escapes, Leo made a breakthrough discovery. Through his clever traps and empathetic observations, he began to understand the obscurator's true nature. It wasn't truly evil. It was desperately lonely. It was an isolated being, cut off from the vibrant, interconnected web of Aetherion, and its hunger for knowledge was born from a deep, desperate craving to understand the world around it. So, Leo changed his strategy. Instead of fighting it, he began to communicate with it. He shared stories of his own world, Earth. He told it about humanity's art, our music, our triumphs, and even our mistakes. He spoke of the simple joys, the boundless curiosity, and the deep connections that defined life back home. He shared his own wonder, not as a prize to be won, but as a gift to be shared. Slowly, miraculously, the obscurator began to change. The suffocating darkness receded, its form softened, and the all-consuming hunger was replaced by a quiet, protective presence. It transformed from a force of destruction into a guardian of knowledge, understanding at last that true power came from connection, not domination. In that moment, Leo learned the most important lesson of all: curiosity opens the door, but it is sharing what we learn, learning together, that truly changes the world. When Leo finally stepped back through the silver portal, he found himself back in the dusty attic. He looked at the clock. Only a few minutes had passed. But for Leo, a lifetime of wonder had unfolded. He was no longer just a curious boy in a quiet town. He was a traveler between worlds, a student of infinite knowledge. Every night, he would look through his grandfather's telescope, not just at the stars, but at the shimmering rivers of light, the floating cities, and the glowing eyes of his friends in Aetherion. He knew that his world, and he himself, had been changed forever, and that the next grand adventure was always just one question away. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more adventures.